everybody, Kyle here with Spicer Designs. Welcome back to the channel, or maybe you've never been to the channel. And if that's the case, whatever. Today's video, we're not going to be doing any fabricating. We're not going to be doing any work on the tractor. As I've told you before in some of my previous videos, that my day job is an electrician. I work at a local 697 up here in Northwest Indiana, and I've been doing this for almost 18 years. So today, I'm going to do a how-to video on a very common problem that I see all the time, whether it's residential, commercial, or industrial setting. This is a common issue. So today we are going to do a how-to video on how to fix a loose outlet. All right, now before we remove this outlet, let's take a quick minute and talk about safety. As far as PPE, you're going to want to have safety glasses on. You're also going to want to have a pair of gloves. They don't need to be voltage rated, preferably something just cut resistance. There's a lot of sharp edges on these electrical boxes and the outlets, and sometimes the wire can be a little sharp as well. Now, the most important safety precaution that we need to take here, which I'm sure we all know, is to shut off the breaker. Now, we've all maybe gotten shocked before. It doesn't feel good, but that is the term that you're going to want to use. You have been shocked, zapped, zipped, got a little tickle, maybe you've been lit up. But don't tell people that you've been electrocuted, because if you're telling people that, that means that you're a ghost. Because electrocution means that you died from electrical shock. I'm not trying to make jokes about it. I personally lost a friend in my apprenticeship to electrocution. It is a very serious thing. So make sure that you shut that breaker off. Now, once you shut that breaker off, you need to be able to verify 0 volts. So let's take a look at some testing equipment that we're going to use to test for 0 volts. Okay, here I have 3 pieces of testing equipment that we can use. The first one is your most standard, probably the cheapest one of them all. This is just your basic plug tester. A lot of inspectors use these when they're doing like final inspections on electrical. Basically, you just plug it into the outlet. If it has power, it will light up, and it will also tell you by the light configuration if it is wired correctly or incorrectly. Also, I will have Amazon links for all of these devices in the description below. Now, this next one is one that I use almost daily, and I highly recommend that every homeowner has one of these. That is very useful to have, and they're very easy to use. This is a tick tracer. This is the Fluke tick tracer. This is the one that I prefer. Now, there is a right way to use these, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay, in order to test your tick tracer, first you're going to turn it on. You hear a little flash and a little beep. You're going to put this in an outlet that you know is energized. This is on a different circuit than the outlet that we're going to be removing. So I'm going to put it into the hot terminal, which is the smaller slot. You can see that the red light comes on, and it also makes a beeping sound. So we know that the tick tracer is working. Now we're going to go test the outlet that we're going to be removing to see if it's energized still. Okay, it shows that I have no voltage, but being that this is a GFI, the GFI could potentially be bad, where we wouldn't have any voltage on the plug itself, but there could still be voltage on the wire. So once we remove this, we will use the tick tracer again and put it right on the conductor itself to verify that it is de-energized. Now we're going to go back to that same outlet and test our tester again to verify that it still works. Subscribe. All right, this last one is a multimeter. This is there's all kinds of different versions of these. This is also a Fluke. This is the one that I keep in my tool bag, and I use it all the time. Now, this will tell you AC voltage, DC voltage, continuity. It'll give you a readout on a resistance value, and you can also measure current by using the amp clamp right here. And this also has a display that will tell you the exact voltage reading. This is really nice to have around the house if you're a big DIYer. Highly recommended. All right, now that we've gone through all the safety procedures, let's go ahead and remove this outlet and get started. All right, the first thing we're going to do is, that's a water spigot. There we go, there's the outlet. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to recreate the problem. So this is an outlet that I installed, so it is very tight, very secure. There's no issues with this thing. So we're going to remove this outlet. We're going to reinstall another outlet the wrong way so I can show you how not to do it and what exactly causes these outlets to loosen up over time and become somewhat dangerous or almost unusable. Whatever. Like I said before, this is a GFI, so the GFI could potentially be bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and test these conductors to verify 0 volts. Yes. Okay, now that we got this outlet removed, I just tucked the wires back in there. We really don't need them hooked up to this outlet. This is just gonna be for demonstrating purposes. So we're gonna reinstall this outlet the way that you might see this most of the time, which is actually not correct. Now, if you notice, the mud ring or the box sits back into the wall. It's recessed about 3/8 of an inch. So when you screw this outlet into this mud ring, it's not going to sit tight and flush against the face of the mud ring. It's actually going to sit on the lip of the drywall here, which is part of the problem. So we're going to screw this thing in, and then I'll show you what happens over time. Now, in this case, the drywall was cut pretty nice around this mud ring, so the ears on this outlet make really good contact on the drywall. Now, installing it like this will probably be okay for a while. It just depends on how often this outlet is used. But over time, this will become loose because of the gap from the face of the drywall to the face of the mud ring. Okay, now we're gonna try to put about a year's worth of use on this thing in about 30 seconds. Okay, as you can see, just by plugging and unplugging this thing like 30 times, it has already become loose. And it was tight when I put it in there, so what's the problem? All right, let's take off this cover plate and see exactly what happened. All right, we can see this thing is way looser than when I put it in. That was like 5 minutes ago. What happens is, this is very light gauge metal right here on these ears. And basically, when you're plugging stuff in and unplugging it, and maybe it gets twisted to the side a little bit, or maybe the cord gets yanked out, it causes that metal to bend, and without any extra support from the outlet to the box that it's mounted to, this is going to happen. So now I'm going to show you the right way to install this outlet, so over time this will not happen. All right, so here's a new outlet, and this is what we're going to use to keep that from happening again. This is just a piece of like a stiff rubber tubing. It's almost like a pneumatic tubing, and I will leave a part number for this in the description, but I will also leave an Amazon link for a comparable product, because this stuff right here comes on 250-foot rolls, and we use this in our shop all the time, and I doubt anybody needs that much of it. So basically all we're doing is we're going to use this tubing, and we're going to kind of hold it up to the face of the box, and we're going to kind of put our finger like 1/8 of an inch further out than the drywall surface. All we're going to do is use this tubing to fill that void, that distance between the outlet and the box that's mounting to, and it's going to slide over the screw that mounts it, and it just basically gives it a little bit of extra strength. Now, once you get that measurement, you can go ahead and use your wire cutters and go ahead and just snip that piece right off there. So there's the little piece that I cut. That's what we're going to use. And all we're going to do is slide that right over the screw. We'll do the same thing to the other one, and then we'll go ahead and remount this thing. Now, you want the length of this tubing to be a little bit longer than that distance from the drywall to the box, just so that you can put a little bit of preload force on that, and it just gives it a little bit more strength. So now we're going to go ahead and screw this thing back in. All right, it may be hard to tell, but you can see there's actually a little bit of a gap right here. So right now I screwed that in, and that tubing has already touched the box that we're mounting the outlet to, and there's a little bit of a gap. So now I'm going to continue to screw it in there, and it's just going to smash that tubing even further and put a little bit of preload force on it. But you can see this outlet is already stiff, and it's not even touching the drywall. So all you're going to want to do is screw it in till these ears right here just touch the drywall, and that's it. Now the other benefit to using that tubing is that sometimes the drywallers don't always cut that nicely around the box. This drywall cut may actually be a little bit high where these ears never even catch the drywall. But if you use that tubing, you can actually still screw that outlet in and get that right distance and still have the stiffness in the outlet. Now occasionally you might run into a situation where the gap between the drywall and the box is longer than the screw that comes with the outlet. And in that case, you might need to get a longer screw for it. The screws that are used on these are 632s, and you can pick them up at any hardware store, and you could get them up to 3 inches, I believe, or even longer. Once you get the screw, if it's way too long, you can trim it down. A lot of people don't know this, but in your wire strippers, most wire strippers have a couple of threaded holes on them. One is for 832, the other one is for 632. 832s are typically what we're gonna see on a ceiling opening, and then the 632s are what you're normally going to see on a wall device. So what you would do is you're going to thread that into the threaded side. That's where you're going to start. And you'll see that I threaded it through the 632 opening, and it goes all the way through the strippers. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze them, and you'll see that this will basically shear right off. Now when you unscrew this, it will automatically clean those threads so that it doesn't try to cross thread on you when you screw it back in. All right, we're gonna throw this cover plate back on, and we're gonna do a little bit of testing to see if this thing will hold up. All right, as you can see, this thing is still very secure. It's still nice and tight on those screws. It's not flopping around in there anymore. So I think that is definitely the trick, and this thing should last for a really long time, unlike myself. Yeah! Oh, my back. All right, that is gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you found this video useful, please give me a big thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider. I do plan on having a lot more videos like this, DIY stuff, electrical tips, in between some of the fabricating videos and the tractor videos. Now, like I said before, I will have links for all these testing devices in the description, and I will also have a link for this tubing, which won't be exactly the stuff that I used, but it'll be a similar product. Now, there are all kinds of different products that they have available for securing outlets like we did today. But my personal preference is the tubing style products for securing the outlets. Now, if you use this method that we did here today to successfully install an outlet, reward yourself with a fresh cold one, preferably a Keystone. It's refreshing. But wait till the job is complete before you start drinking heavily. Idiot. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. What the f*** is that noise?